Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mace, and today, cycling in the US from a Dutch perspective. Well, this will be a stark contrast. I can say that for sure. There is there's pretty much no comparison. Essentially, if you want to bike in the US, be prepared to have brain damage. If you want to bike in the Netherlands, be prepared to have a peaceful, safe, efficient, and wonderful journey. That's how it works. Essentially, just be prepared to get hit by a vehicle if they're in the US, because the biking infrastructure is essentially non-existent and absolutely atrocious. That's just the facts. Hey, I just dropped a new album. Yep, I also rap and make music. New album is out, just dropped yesterday. It's called Majesty in a World So Grim. And yeah, there's songs that are more grim and there's songs that are more majestic. There's a little bit of both. There's love songs, there's hardcore hip hop songs. It's got the whole bag. But today we're talking about cycling, and I've mentioned that I have been cycling to work, and it's been great. It's just to get to work safely, I have to go way longer than I'd prefer, which is fine. I could use the exercise. I don't mind it. I like biking outside. It's kind of peaceful. It's a nice little break, a time to decompress and de-stress. So hey, let's check out this video. Make sure to leave a comment down below and like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Peace and love, baby. Let's go.
Cycling in the US is very different from the Netherlands. Not only the way people dress and behave, the type of bikes, but also the traffic in which they have to move around. The cause of all these differences. It takes courage to ride between motorized traffic like this.
Hell yeah,
and you
it does.
cannot trust drivers to play by the rules. Cycling doesn't seem to be taken seriously. It's something children do, or those who haven't really grown up. And it's
like cycling in the US and North America, probably more so in general, is typically viewed, I think, collectively as like a nuisance, which is absolutely horribly sad when you break it down. He's right, it is viewed as like something that children do. It's not taken seriously. It's viewed as a nuisance, as they're affecting my day, I got to drive a little bit slower and more carefully. And they want to put in bike lanes? Like, this is ridiculous. I want to drive my massive pickup truck every single place imaginable, and I'm entitled to do that, and screw everybody else.
It's mainly seen as a leisure activity. People cycle on specific tracks and not to get from A to B. Others take their bikes on their car to get to some fun place where they can ride
safely.
Although I cannot believe riding here is really fun or safe at all. This situation makes clear why you are 30 times more likely to get injured as a cyclist in the US than you are in the Netherlands.
And that's the thing, that's so sad. You honestly, do you trust your life in the hands of drivers when they have cell phones and they have so much distractions and they need to swerve out of their way 4 feet? If they swerve about 4 feet out of their lane, you're dead. So
it gets even worse with a door zone of parked cars. It is not so very different in the cities. It almost looks like these people are riding a race rather than going home after work. They're trying to outrun other traffic. It really seems like a chase. No wonder some choose to ride on the pavements or crosswalks. Even in places where the situation is different, where there is more cycling and much more relaxed cycling.
Is there any relaxed cycling in North America?
Less racing and more cycling from A to B.
Looks pretty dangerous, pretty hazardous.
For everyday purposes and not as a sport. Sometimes it almost looks Dutch, although the infra is very different. Even in Davis, California, I hardly saw any specific cycling infra. And that's probably why some people still choose to ride in Lycra, and with helmets. No wonder if your left turn looks like this. You have to cycle surrounded by motor traffic. Not everybody seems to care though. But
that's just sketchy as hell, isn't it? And listen, I have somebody close to me that was recently in a bad bike accident, and they were struck by a vehicle who wasn't paying attention, and they're seriously injured. They were in the hospital for days. They're out now and they're recovering, but it's just not safe. That's just like that's what it comes down to. It's not safe if you have to commute every day on a bicycle. Like it's not safe.
There's a lot of cycling here despite the infra rather than because of it. In other places, new cycle infra does seem to appear. And I don't mean Sharrows, which is just useless paint. That wears off pretty soon too. Still paint, but a little better, are bike lanes, popping up everywhere. But the big disadvantage of those lanes is demonstrated here.
They're not separated.
Cars can invade them. And that was also not a good time to start driving again. Colored bike lanes may be better respected. It sure seems to be more relaxed to ride here. It is even better without parked cars. Some physical protection, even though they're just plastic posts, is a further improvement. Chicago goes yet a step further, with a line of parked cars between track and roadway. But it is still not much more than paint. Curbs would make it prettier and less easy to reverse. I am no big fan of left turn boxes, especially not when they're in...
Okay, so for all the cycling viewers, and we've been doing some reactions to Dutch cycling and different perspectives that I have and that you guys have and Dutch people have, US people have. But there was a former NHL player, his name is Sean Avery, and the videos are somewhat crass, but they're absolutely hilarious. It's basically he would film his interactions with people that were blocking bike lanes in New York City and just call them out and shame them like in the middle of the day. It was great because, delivery drivers and just idiots parking in bike lanes, and he would stop, film them, and call them out on their BS.
In the wrong location.
It's hilarious.
It should have been positioned
He's a bit of an
here.
asshole, but he's funny.
Now this is more like it. Bike signals. The sign seems a bit too obvious in Dutch eyes, but that only shows how novel they are here. What is even better, the green cycle is different from that of turning motor traffic. Now that is good bike infra. But it is surprising that that explanation for motor traffic is also needed. The bike counter in San Francisco is nice, to make cycling more visible. But good bicycle parking stands like these in Davis have a real purpose. Chicago has great racks in transit stations. Not heavily used yet, but that may come. Bikes on buses are only possible with low numbers of users, but it's good to have. I saw more bike shops than before, and that is also a good sign. Shared bikes may make cycling even more accessible to even more people. It's a good thing many cities in the US are getting a shared bike system.
Yeah, Seattle has a pretty decent
system. It may
system.
change the type of cycling from this more racing type to a more relaxed variety, with which more people can identify. A bakfiets may be a step too far for most, but seeing more upright cyclists in ordinary clothes would be very positive. There could be a good future for cycling in the US.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen. All right, please let me know what you think down below. And yeah, I still think it's just still at a level that's incredibly unsafe. Even when I'm biking around, I know that people use their phones. I know that there's sometimes drivers that are distracted. Hey, somebody could have a medical emergency, and that's why having those separated lanes, separated bike lanes, physical barriers of some sort, or at least, a space that's not just riding directly on the road or directly on the shoulder. There's just too much risk. All right, see you soon.